Today let's talk about the basic chord technique. So what we mean by this is up until now we've really only been doing single note melodies on one string. So our initial fretting technique, we were using one string, and then for exercise number one, dexterity exercise number one, we were using one string at a time and then moving on to another string. So even though we were using all the strings, still only one string at a time. If you remember from our definitions, a chord is 3 or more notes played at the same time. So in order to play 3 or more notes at the same time, we need to have proper technique so that our fingers aren't muting other strings that should be sounding out. So earlier I showed you a C chord and I said here's the proper way to play it. And we can hear that all 6 strings are playing, right? If I just slightly move my knuckles down like this, we got at least 2 notes that are being muted, okay? And then the chords start sounding weaker and you start hearing dead notes and it just doesn't sound very good. So we really want to make sure that we use the proper technique. So when we're learning new chords, and obviously there's a PDF for this, so you'll want to make sure that you read through that and you check out the chords, the open chords to follow. But we really want to start off with simple chords at first, because folks get their hands around the neck, they start playing melodies and they feel really good. Then when they go to play their first chord, there's a bit of frustration because they don't understand. They're putting their fingers, it's almost like because they feel they're putting their fingers in the right place that the chord should sound. And there's some degree of truth to that, but there's some other variables that we need to look at. And using this technique will help you to uncover those so that you can see whether you're playing the chord correctly or not. Okay, so we're going to obviously want to start off with some simple chords. The most simple chord that I know and that I teach my students is the E minor 7. It's where you take your second finger and put it on the 2nd fret of the 5th string. When we're counting the strings, we count them from the bottom string up. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Counting from the bottom in proximity to the floor. So the lower in pitch strings are is a 6, and the higher pitch string E is a thinner string. Okay, so and it's the 1. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, when we're counting E, A, D, G, B, E, we're doing that backwards. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So you want to take your second finger, put it on the 2nd fret of the 5th string. And for this, we're going to pick all the notes. But this time we're going to arpeggiate it, okay? So instead of just doing this, which is great, that sounds like a great chord, what we're going to do is we're going to play each note individually. So let's try it. So here we go. Starting from the 6th string, we should hear every note. Did you notice that? There was a muted note in there. That note right there. Now if I just hit the chord like that, you don't hear that muted note. You just hear the chord and your ear may or may not determine that that one note's not being played. But if we pick it individually, each note, we can hear that mute happening, and that means we need to do something. Now the other strings sound out, but we've got to use this technique because we have to uncover what it is that we're doing wrong. So there's a few things you need to do. You need to use your eyes, you need to use your ears, you need to feel the guitar. And so when I'm playing this, picking one note at a time, I can hear that there's a problem there. You can hear it. And I can actually feel it, because what I can feel right now is I can feel this second finger fretting correctly, but it's leaning too far down. So what's happening is the pad of my finger on this side, okay, the pad of my finger is actually touching the 4th string. So if I curled that knuckle a little bit more, I would have a better idea of, or I'd have a better chance of playing that note. But without picking it, without arpeggiating through it, I'm never going to hear that. So I'm hearing this. I can hear it, physically hear it, and I can feel that string snapping up against the back of my finger. It's not hard, it's just a small little vibration. I can feel that it's being muted by that finger. So what I do is I correct it, check it, play the rest of the chord, arpeggiate through it again, and then that's literally the technique. Now what happens is, if you don't correct your chordal playing, what happens is you're going to think you're doing fine. You've sent no messages to your brain about correcting things and having it sound better. And because of that, nothing is going to get better. It's just going to stay the same. And that's with all guitar playing. First, you have to observe what it is that's happening, good or bad. You know, make some sort of determination. Does my finger need to be adjusted? Do I need to, whatever it is that you're trying to do on the guitar, you need to make an evaluation. And then make an adjustment according to that evaluation. So here, I'm playing, I notice a problem, I evaluate it. Okay, I can feel that finger's muting it, so I just need to keep that finger from muting it. Now it plays. Now I play through it again, and I can hear the chord perfectly. Okay, so this first chord is a great one to start for this exercise because you'll really be able to grasp the concept of what I'm talking about here. First, just grasp the concept, okay? Chords really start frustrating for folks, so if you can work through this process slow and steady and really just believe me that you're going to work through this, especially with the practice, you're going to be doing fine, then you're going to understand how powerful this is. Okay, so that's an E minor 7 chord. And E minor is where we put our second finger, or our third finger, on the second fret of the 4th string, and basically we're going to strum the same note. So here we go. So we can hear that the first 3 notes sound great, the 4th note here doesn't sound so hot. I can physically hear that it's out of tune, and I can physically feel that string snapping up against the back of my finger. So I'm going to curl my knuckles a little bit more. There's my E minor chord. Okay, so as you're learning these chords, that's exactly the technique that you're going to use every single time. Folks will say, they'll write in and they'll say, how can I get better at my chords? This is exactly how you're going to get better at your chords. Nothing more than what's in this video. You're going to play, you're going to pick through the notes slowly, pick through the chords slowly to hear each individual note. You're going to observe if there's a problem. You're going to adjust what you've observed till you get that note. Then you're going to strum through it again. And what happens is our brain has an uncanny way of keeping up with the notes that you're taking as you're doing this. Next time you grab that chord, you're going to be more inclined to hold your finger with a curled knuckle or whatever technique that you need to use there in order to clear that chord and for it to sound great. Our brains are great at doing this, but we do have to observe it first before it will actually take note and put that into our memory bank. If you don't observe it, it's not going to happen, okay? It doesn't happen automatically. Has to be observed, has to be a cognizant, conscious thing before it becomes a subconscious thing, okay? Later on, as we get to playing more, it's going to be more subconscious, okay? Just like if you were to be riding a bike or talking on the phone while you're driving or something like that. It's like you can do both because your conscious mind is maybe driving the car, your subconscious mind is talking on the phone or something, or vice versa. Make sense? All right, we're going to be doing some chords coming up, but what I want you to do is start delving into some of these and let's use this technique, and I promise you, if you do it, which is just really observing the note, correcting it, you're going to be great. All right, let's keep going.